Welcome to the world of esoteric philosophy, where ancient wisdom intertwines with the mysteries of the universe. Here, we delve into the depths of hidden knowledge, exploring the teachings of the Hermetic, the mystical, and the transcendent. This channel is not just for those who seek answers, but for those who are ready to experience the unfolding of truth that lies within, and beyond, what the world perceives. In today's video, we will be embarking on a journey through the ancient principles of esoteric thought, unveiling the secrets of Hermeticism and unlocking the transformative power of wisdom that has been passed down through the ages. Stay with us as we explore the very fabric of existence, where knowledge is not only learned, but lived. A mythic journey through the ancient principles of the universe narrated in a single breath of the soul. It begins not with a whisper, but with a human echo from the deep heart of silence. Before the first star, before the shaping of fire, before thought was thought, there was only the One. And from the One, all things emerged not by force, but by the necessity of harmony. This is where our story begins, not in time, but in eternity. In the ancient twilight of the world, when gods still walked as men and man dreamed as gods, there existed a knowledge passed not through ink or scroll, but by vibration. A silent transmission. A whisper that lived between breaths. This whisper would become the Hermetic code, a body of wisdom hidden in plain sight, concealed not by secrecy, but by depth. For only those who looked inward could see what was always there. It was Hermes Trismegistus, thrice great master of wisdom, science, and spirit, who distilled this eternal wisdom into 7 principles. These were not laws imposed upon reality, but truths that described how reality breathes. To unlock them is not merely to know the world, it is to know the self, and in knowing the self, to return home. So let us begin. Not with explanation, but with the remembering. Let each word that follows be not simply heard, but felt as though you were hearing the echo of your own soul spoken back to you. There are no chapters here, no sections, only a current, a single, spiraling current of myth and mind, of stars and symbols, of man and God and all that dances in between. The first principle is mentalism. The all is mind, the universe is mental. This is the seed from which the forest of existence grows. All that you see, all that you touch, all that you fear or love or doubt, is mind, dreaming itself into form. We are not within the universe is within us. Every galaxy, every song, every sorrow, it is all the play of consciousness, dreaming in symbols and light. In ancient temples, initiates would sit in stillness, watching thoughts arise and fall like the tides of the moon. They knew that to master the world, one must first master the mind, for the world is but the reflection of its dreaming. And so we too must look inward, not to escape the world, but to see it truly. From this first breath of truth, the second principle rises: correspondence. As above, so below; as within, so without. This is the golden thread that weaves together heaven and earth, spirit and matter, thought and form. The stars in their vast circuits mirror the chambers of the heart. The macrocosm and the microcosm are not two, they are one, seen from different heights. To the Hermetist, nothing is isolated. The fluttering of a sparrow's wing ripples through eternity. A tear shed in silence may echo through the constellations. The same patterns found in the spiral of a seashell are echoed in galaxies and echoed again in the coils of our DNA. This is no poetic metaphor, it is the living truth of nature. And so, with reverence, we arrive at the third principle: vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. What seems still is only a slower song. The stone, the flame, the breath, they are all movement at different octaves. All is in motion, dancing in rhythm. The Hermetic sages knew that even thought vibrates, and that by raising or lowering one's mental frequency, one could alter reality itself. This is why mantras are powerful. Why names carry magic. Why silence is never truly silent. Every thought you think, every emotion you carry, sends ripples into the field of becoming. To live consciously is to vibrate with intent. To sleep is to be danced by forces you do not recognize. Thus, we are led gently, unavoidably to the fourth principle: polarity. Everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Light and dark, hot and cold, love and fear, these are not enemies, but twins born of the same source. The wise do not flee from one and cling to the other, they understand the spectrum, and learn to transmute. For the alchemist's true power is not in turning lead into gold, but fear into wisdom, pain into compassion. Polarity is not a curse, it is the condition of growth. A tree must stretch both downward and upward to stand. So too must we stretch across opposites, letting tension birth clarity. The Hermeticist walks the middle path, not neutral, but centered, able to embrace all without being trapped by either. And so it continues. And it is through this understanding of polarity that we glimpse the fifth breath of truth, rhythm. Everything flows, out and in, everything has its tides, all things rise and fall. This is the pulse of the universe, the heart beating beneath all becoming. It is the inhale and exhale of the divine mind. All things move according to rhythm, the ocean waves, the seasons, the cycles of birth and death, creation and dissolution, joy and sorrow, expansion and retreat. And so too do we. The sages did not resist the tides, they learned to surf them. They knew that every fall contains the seed of a rise, just as every peak carries the promise of descent. And in that knowledge, they found peace. To one who understands rhythm, nothing is unexpected, nothing is wasted. Suffering becomes a step, triumph becomes a breath. And through it all, the soul grows. But let us go deeper still. For rhythm swings us between poles, and in that movement, we come to know the sixth principle, cause and effect. Every cause has its effect, every effect has its cause. There is no chance. There is no randomness. What we call luck is merely a name given by the unknowing to the unseen causes behind a visible outcome. Everything we do, every thought we release, sets into motion a chain subtle, invisible, but unstoppable. The Hermeticist becomes not a victim of fate, but a master of cause. To live wisely is to become a conscious cause. To plant seeds with care, knowing that every action, every silence, every inner movement generates echoes in the web of becoming. Karma is not punishment, it is architecture. The cosmos is not cruel, it is precise. And in this truth, we proclaim our power. And now, gently, as if stepping through a veil of smoke into the final chamber of the temple, we arrive at the seventh and final principle, gender. Gender is in everything, everything has its masculine and feminine principles, gender manifests on all planes. This is not merely about man or woman, but about the eternal dance of energies. The masculine is active, directed, expressive. The feminine is receptive, nurturing, generative. And within each of us lives both waiting to be balanced, harmonized, unified. All creation is the child of this union. Spirit descending into matter is the Great Father meeting the Great Mother. The logos in the womb, thought and form. In the Hermetic temples, the androgyne stood as a symbol of wholeness, not confusion, but completion. The return to the one through the sacred marriage of polar forces within. When these seven principles are not merely known but lived, they become more than teachings, they become transformation. They are not there to be worshipped, but to be woven into the fabric of daily life, until your every breath becomes a hermetic act, your every step a dance with the divine pattern. And now, we return not to the beginning, but to the ever-deepening spiral of understanding. For in the Hermetic tradition, there is no final point, only layers within layers, truth within truth, like an infinite lotus blooming at the center of consciousness. And so, as we spiral ever inward through the petals of the Hermetic lotus, we do not seek escape from the world, but deeper participation in its mystery. These principles are not merely cosmic abstractions, they are threads that run through the fabric of your every moment, waiting for your fingers to trace them. They do not command you. They invite you. They do not ask for belief. They ask for attention. And with that attention, the ancient doorway opens not in some far-off temple, but in the quiet sanctum of your own being. In the stillness of early dawn, when the mind has not yet remembered its name, there is a subtle space where the wisdom of the ages breathes. That is where Hermes whispers. Not in language, but in pattern. not in dogma, but in rhythm. You may find his voice in the movement of leaves, in the sudden silence between songs, in the way your breath aligns with the wind. He is there, not as a god to be worshipped, but as a teacher who never truly left. And in this vast inner journey, you begin to feel something shift. The way you look at things softens. You no longer see opposites as contradictions, but as complements. You no longer battle your darkness, you sit with it, learn from it. You no longer chase the light as if it were somewhere else. You realize it has always lived in you, waiting for your eyes to adjust to its glow. The Hermetic path is not one of answers, it is a path of perception, of deepening, of walking the same circle again and again, only to find that each turn brings you closer to the center. And what is the center? It is not a doctrine, not a symbol carved in stone. It is presence, the kind that cannot be taught, only remembered. The ancient ones did not shout their truths. They carved them into myth. They encoded them in parables and symbols, knowing that only the heart prepared would understand. That is why the Hermetic teachings feel like a homecoming. You are not learning something new. You are remembering something eternal. Each of the 7 principles is a key not to a door outside you, but to one inside. When you hold the principle of mentalism, you begin to see thought not as background noise, but as the architect of your reality. You pause before reacting. You choose your words like spells. You begin to shape your inner temple with intention. When you hold correspondence, you begin to see yourself in all things. The suffering of another stirs compassion, not distance. The beauty of a flower becomes a reflection of your own essence. You are no longer separate, but part of a woven whole, a cosmic mirror reflecting itself endlessly. When you attune to vibration, you become sensitive to energies. You can feel the tone of a room, the heaviness of unspoken emotion, the warmth of joy even when it wears no face. You begin to realize that your energy is not a passive thing, it is an instrument, and you are learning to play it. With polarity, you no longer label experiences as good or bad, but as necessary. You stop fighting winter, and you find its lessons. You honor both ascent and descent, knowing they are lovers, not enemies. Your life becomes more spacious, more compassionate, more whole. Through rhythm, you cease grasping at permanence. You allow things to come and go. You dance with time instead of fearing it. You become like the moon, waxing and waning, but never losing your essence. You begin to trust that every ebb will birth the flow. With cause and effect, you take responsibility not in guilt, but in power. You see the invisible threads connecting actions and outcomes. You become intentional, not reactive. You become a weaver of futures, not a victim of circumstance. And with gender, you embrace your inner duality. You stop suppressing softness. You stop fearing strength. You become a vessel where thought and emotion, discipline and creativity, structure and surrender meet and make something sacred. This is not a religion. It is not even a philosophy in the traditional sense. It is a way of seeing, a way of being, a path walked not with the feet, but with the whole of your attention. And the further you walk it, the more the world begins to shimmer, not because it changed, but because you did. The Hermetic code is not locked. It was never locked. It is always open to the quiet, to the sincere, to those who would listen between the words. It lives in old books, yes, but more truly, it lives in the pulse behind your ribs. In the breath that enters without permission and leaves without regret. In the dream you half remember when you wake. In the knowing you cannot name, but feel as truth. Let this be a reminder, you are not merely in the universe, you are of it. You are not a mistake of matter, you are mind becoming aware of itself. You are not broken, you are becoming. And in this great becoming, Hermes walks beside you, not in robes or thunder, but in the quiet nudge of intuition, the sudden insight during solitude, the peace that comes when you finally let go. So walk gently, breathe deeply, live slowly, and let the code speak. And when the final veil of understanding is brushed aside by silent fingers, there is not a voice, but a presence. The code no longer speaks in words, it moves through shadow and shimmer, revealing itself through myth that lives just beneath waking consciousness. For now the journey turns inward through an ancient door, carved in silence, guarded by symbols long forgotten by the surface mind. It opens not with keys, but with remembrance. And as it opens, the world we knew begins to melt like wax in the warmth of inner fire. The principle of mentalism now no longer a phrase, but a realm. You find yourself standing before a mirror that reflects not your body, but the architecture of thought itself. An infinite cathedral, with arches of memory and stained glass windows made from belief. Above you, the ceiling spirals like a galaxy. Below, the floor breathes like a living organism. And in this place, you begin to understand, the world outside was always a stage set by the mind within. Thought is not a whisper, it is a creator, a craftsman, a god dreaming worlds into being. Every story you've lived was written first in thought. Every emotion, a ripple through the inner chamber. You see now that the mind is not a tool. It is a dimension. And every careless thought is a spell cast unconsciously, every intention, a glyph etched in the ether. As this realization burns into you like starlight through vellum, the chamber melts, and you are drawn downward yet upward into a corridor of mirrors. This is correspondence not as knowledge, but as experience. You pass mirrors that reflect entire lifetimes. In one, you are a monk walking beneath cherry blossoms. In another, a child who laughs at the moon. In yet another, you are the moon itself. Each reflection vibrates with the law, as above, so below. As within, so without. You begin to understand that the stars are not separate from your breath, that the movements of your heart shape the seasons of your life. Every gesture you make echoes through unseen planes. The way you wake, the way you speak, the way you listen, these are the rites that stir the sacred web of correspondence. The cosmos is not distant, it is woven into your skin. Then comes the sound, subtle, persistent, a hum beneath existence itself. You feel it in your bones before you hear it. This is the chamber of vibration. Here, you are not given visions, but frequency. Your body begins to dissolve into waves of light and sound. You become a field, a tone, a sacred syllable vibrating through the halls of eternity. Every word ever spoken, every song ever sung, pulses through you. You realize that your name, once thought small, is a chord in the great harmony of being. The mystics were not mad to chant alone in caves, they were tuning their souls. And now, so are you. You feel your own resonance rise, pass through grief, crack open joy, and arrive at silence, not the absence of sound, but the presence of stillness. And from that stillness, dual flames rise. This is polarity. The flames dance, one black as onyx, the other white as pearl. They circle one another, neither touching nor separating. You see pain cradle wisdom. You see hate collapse into unspoken love. You see night give birth to dawn without resistance. You step between the flames and feel both burn into your skin, not as agony, but as awakening. You are no longer afraid of opposites. You wear them. You are the tension that births life, the wound that becomes an opening, the shadow that shapes the light. You are not either. You are the space between. And it is this space that begins to sway, to spiral, to breathe. You are now inside rhythm. Here, everything pulses, planets sway, oceans sigh, your breath weaves into the wind. You walk along a bridge made of time, and with every step, you remember a cycle, a life lost, a life reborn, a dream forgotten, a truth returned. Rhythm shows you the dance of gods and insects, of death and seed, of joy and silence. You begin to feel the beauty of laws, the necessity of rest, the grace of return. You no longer cling to the high nor fear the low. You ride the wave, not to escape, but to understand. The wave carries you forward into the crystalline geometry of cause and effect. This is the realm of threads. Each step you took, each word you spoke, now stretches behind you like golden filaments. You look backward and see a tapestry glowing, complex, tragic, sacred. You see the pattern of your becoming, the echoes of forgotten thoughts blooming into present circumstance. And in that vision, you are no longer a leaf in the wind. You are the wind. You begin to speak not aloud, but with presence, and the world answers. You begin to choose not just actions, but states of being. And with each choice, The thread shifts. The future listens. And now, as you step into the final chamber, you see not fire, not light but a figure. Half veiled in shadow, half robed in radiance. This is gender, the divine androgyne. Not male, not female but the sacred union of principle. The God who creates not with flesh, but with balance. Within you, you feel the masculine focus, direction, clarity. And beside it, the feminine reception, depth, mystery. They do not battle. They entwine. They do not cancel. They complete. And in their embrace, you are conceived not as body, but as soul awakened. You fall to your knees not from fear, but from reverence. Not before a God, but before the truth that you are one. And when you rise, you do not leave the temple. You become it. And as you rise from the sacred union, you do not step away from the chamber of gender, you are carried beyond it. Not with feet, but with intention. The veils thin, not because they are torn, but because your sight has changed. You are now both witness and myth, both seeker and flame. You emerge into a desert made not of sand, but of silence. The kind of silence that precedes creation. Here, time does not move, it waits. A single obelisk stands in the distance, etched with symbols older than language. You approach, and as you do, the symbols begin to glow not with fire, but with memory. Not of a life, but of a soul. The first symbol is a circle, the next a spiral, the third a serpent devouring its tail. You do not need to interpret them. You are them. The circle is your infinite self. The spiral is your unfolding path. The serpent is your becoming life feeding on itself to be reborn. And then you hear the voice not as sound, but as deep inner thunder, rising from the core of your being. You have crossed the 7 gates. But the gates were not thresholds, they were mirrors. You did not pass through them. You passed through yourself. You are brought into chamber of air, suspended in a sphere of living thought. Symbols orbit around you, planets of meaning, moons of mystery. Here, the Kabbalion is not a book. It is a breathing intelligence. A being of pattern, light, and rhythm. It unfolds its wings not of feathers, but of principles, and each feather contains a truth, and each truth contains a story, and each story is one you have lived, are living, and will live again. You now walk among archetypes. You meet the Magus, cloaked in stardust, whose eyes hold galaxies and whose staff pulses with the weight of choice. He does not teach you remember in his presence. You recall the moment you first chose to awaken. Not in this life, but in the river beneath the lifetimes, where souls drink from the pool of forgetting before entering the world of form. You remember resisting the drink. You remember keeping a fragment of the code inside. That fragment pulses now in your chest, and with each beat, your vision deepens. You see the temple of the black sun hidden beneath the awakened mind, where initiates are stripped not of clothes, but of masks. Here, you lay down the name you were given, and pick up the name you've always carried in silence. It is not a word. It is a frequency. You speak it and the temple disappears. You fall through light, through myth, through memory. You awaken in the forest of echoes, where trees whisper in forgotten tongues. Each leaf sings a name you once had. The wind knows your fears. The roots below speak in vibrations about choices not taken. Here, Hermes appears not as a man, but as a shifting flame, sometimes feathered, sometimes crowned with horns, sometimes carrying a serpentine staff that pierces through illusion like a blade of silence. He walks beside you, not ahead, not behind. He speaks. What you seek cannot be found. It must be remembered. And what you remember must be lived not once, but always. You are not here to learn. You are here to become. In this forest, the 7 principles no longer appear as laws. They take form. They walk. They whisper. They test. Mentalism becomes a weaver spinning realms from thought, inviting you to try your hand at creating not stories, but realities. Correspondence becomes a mirror being, showing you lovers, enemies, strangers, each one a reflection of your own fractures and forgotten strengths. Vibration becomes a choir of light beings, humming in harmony, then chaos, until you learn to modulate your own presence, to find your note and blend it into the cosmic symphony. Polarity appears as a pair of twins, one cloaked in shadows, one in brilliance, who ask you to choose. Only for you to realize the only path forward is to hold both hands at once. Rhythm becomes a great wheel, spinning through seasons of the soul, requiring you to step in and surrender to its turns, trusting even the winter of yourself. Cause and Effect appears as a book of threads, in which every thought you've ever had is a page. You are asked to read it aloud to hear the echoes you've sown. And Gender manifests as the lotus blooming inside your chest, petals of stillness and fire, asking you to no longer war within, but to birth yourself anew, whole and without apology. As the forest fades, you are no longer walking. You are becoming the path. Not separate from the principles, but their expression. Your breath, now an instrument of vibration. Your thoughts, temples of mentalism. Your relationships, echoes of correspondence. Your healing, the mastery of polarity. Your cycles, surrender to rhythm. Your actions, sacred cause. Your being, divine gender. And just as the last veil thins, you return not to where you began, but to a higher octave of the spiral. You awaken, not in another world, but in this one, only to find it shimmering with new light. Everything is the same and nothing is. The lamp on your desk now glows with silent intention. The stranger passing it holds the gaze of a forgotten god. The breeze against your skin is no longer mere wind, it is the breath of Hermes, reminding you, remember. You have not reached the end. You have begun again. Only now, you carry the code not in your mind, but in your presence. Let it hum within you. Let it guide your fingers, your words, your silence. Let the world shape around you as you shape within it. You are no longer a seeker. You are the flame. You are the breath between dimensions. You are the hermetic path, walking itself home. And so, in the stillness after awakening, there comes a pull not backward, but inward. The spiral turns again, this time not to another principle, but to the source of symbols from which the Hermetic teachings flowed into the world. For long before they were named in Greek, they were breathed in hieroglyphs, sung in the hymns of the Nile, and carved in stone to outlive time itself. You find yourself walking beside the black river, not water, but ink, the current of ancient knowledge. The reeds sway, whispering your forgotten names. Ahead, a temple rises from mist, its pillars crowned with lotus and papyrus, symbols of upper and lower realms, spirit and body, sky and earth. This is not a place of worship. It is a library of the soul. At its gate stands a man with the head of an ibis, cloaked in white, skin the color of moonlight, eyes that hold time. He does not speak. He writes. Each motion of his reed pen carves not letters, but destiny. You feel your breath still as you realize, this is Tot, the Atlantean scribe, the lunar mind, the one who weighs thought against silence. His ibis head is no accident. The ibis moves with precision through water and mud, never disturbed, a symbol of discernment, of the mind that enters mystery without losing clarity. In his presence, your mind becomes still, not dull, but radiant, like the surface of a calm lake that reflects the stars. Tot does not teach. He reveals. He gestures, and the doors of the temple open not outward, but into you. Within, the air is thick with incense, frankincense, and blue lotus. The walls shimmer with glyphs that seem to breathe. The first image that glows is the winged sun disk, a solar orb cradled by outstretched falcon wings. It is the symbol of Ra, but also of the ascent of consciousness. The wings are not escape, but expansion. You feel your own soul stretch wide, no longer confined to body, but encompassing sky. Next, your eyes rest on the caduceus, the staff entwined by twin serpents, topped with wings. This is Hermes' staff, yes, but older still, rooted in the mysteries of Egypt, where it was the emblem of life's dual forces rising up the spine, crossing, spiraling, awakening. You feel the two serpents within, the sun and the moon, the masculine and feminine, the left and right hemispheres of the brain. They do not battle. They dance, winding ever upward toward the crown of knowing. Beneath the staff lies the key of life. But here, it is more than simple. It hums. It glows with the memory of eons. The loop is the womb, the eternal feminine, the unseen. The crossbar is the horizon. The vertical is the path from below to above. In your hand, the ink becomes a map of you, of all being, of how spirit descends into form, and form ascends into light. Then comes a chamber with no door, only a balanced scale. On one side, a feather. On the other, your heart. This is the hall of Ma'at, not a goddess, but a principle, incarnate, truth, order, balance. The feather is not light because it weighs nothing. It is light because it carries no deceit. Tote watches silently as her heart is weighed. Every half-truth, every unspoken fear, every distorted belief trembles. But you do not run. You breathe. And with that breath, the heart grows lighter, not from escape, but from honesty. You speak aloud the words of long buried. And Ma'at blesses you not with reward, but with remembrance. Live in alignment, and the world bends to meet you. Deceive yourself, and even the stars feel distant. You are guided onward, deeper still, until you enter the inner sanctum, where no statue stands, no priest waits, only a mirror of obsidian. In it, you do not see your face. You see your double. Your your shadow twin, the part of you that has walked beside you in silence since birth. It is not your darkness, it is your potential, waiting to be fully embodied. Toad appears again not as a god, but as a silent presence behind your left shoulder. He touches the mirror, and the image steps out not to replace you, but to merge with you. And for the first time, you feel whole, not perfected, but integrated. You are no longer student. You are temple. Every glyph now glows beneath your skin. Every symbol breathes with you. The ibis, the serpent, the wing, the feather, the sun, the staff, they are no longer external. They are your language. You walk out of the temple not into the world, but into the realms between worlds, where the Hermetic current flows unceasingly. And Hermes, who was once far, now whispers from the inside. The symbols were never outside you. They are the memory of what you are. And just when you believe the temple has given all it can, a soft sound returns, neither chime nor breath, but something deeper. It is the turning of a page, yet no book is seen. The air thickens. The glyphs on the wall pulse like the veins of a dreaming god. Toad has not left, nor stepped closer. He has entered your awareness, not as form, but as vibration. He stands now not before you, but within your vision, clothed in robes woven from moonlight and ink. In his hand is a tablet, golden but weightless, inscribed not in letters, but in moving light, glyphs that shift as you look, because their meaning is not fixed. They are alive. This is the book of Tote, but not the one sought by pharaohs and sorcerers. This is the Sekvang, the golden codex that cannot be held, only entered. He does not hand it to you. He opens it into you. And with the opening, the temple disappears. You are floating in blackness, not void, but potential. Stars pulse around you like thoughts. The first page unfolds in your bones, and it is not inked, it is made of symbolic fire. It reads, "The soul is not born once. It is born each time it remembers its origin." You inhale, and memory floods back, not of this life, but of the life beneath the lives. You see yourself as scribe and star traveler, as priestess and child, as light and wound. You remember being a watcher at the edges of creation, asked only one question. Will you return again? To forget, and then remember? And you said yes. Another page turns not by hand, but by readiness. It shows a serpent coiled around an eye, the eye of Ra, radiant, watching backward through time. You realize this is the moment of activation. The serpent, symbol of eternal return, of knowledge hidden in spirals, now straightens, rising up the spine of your spirit. You feel your vision shift. You are not looking at the glyph, you are inside it. Suddenly, you are walking through a library built from living thoughts. Shelves made of light. Scrolls made of wind. And upon each scroll, a name who have worn them all. You begin to understand, the book is not a document. It is you, across time, decoded layer by layer. Tote speaks now not in words, but in a resonance that shapes your inner silence. Every incarnation is a line in the verse. Every death is a comma, not an end. The book is never finished. It writes itself through your becoming. You are led to a chamber where no pages turn. Instead, a single glyph burns above the doorway, the Ujat, the whole eye, the restored vision. You walk through it and find yourself inside a chamber of mirrors, but they do not show your reflection, they show possibilities. In one, you are still asleep. In another, you are awakened, radiant, balanced. And in yet another, you are nothing and everything at once. This is the room of rewriting. Tote places a reed pen of starlight into your hand. He gestures toward your heart. You are to write not what was, but what can be. Not in fantasy, but in truth. Not to escape karma, but to participate in its alchemy. As you write, your body glows from within, not with ego, but with clarity. You see the shadow within you soften. You see the old pain unravel like threads returning to the loom. And in that moment, the page turns again, this time by your own will. You have entered the golden book of becoming. You are not reading anymore. You are composing. Your breath becomes script. Your choices become verses. Your silence becomes punctuation. And somewhere in the distance, the ibis cries one say sound older than sound, signaling that the initiation is complete. You stand, not as master, not as servant, but as scribe of your own unfolding. The book of Tote now rests in your chest, a soft warmth, a gentle pulse. It will open each time you act with remembrance. It will close each time you forget who you are. But it is always there, waiting not to punish, but to remind. And as Tote fades, you hear his voice echo through the veils. The greatest spell is not a word, it is a life lived with presence. The journey begins, not with a choice, but with the inevitable pull of the eternal spiral. It is as though the world you knew, the one of time and space, begins to unravel, its edges softening, its contours blurring, until you are no longer sure whether you are walking toward the portal, or if the portal is pulling you deeper into itself. Before you lies the first gate, the gate of the shadow, its frame composed of darkness so pure, it seems to consume the very light around it. You stand before it, not as a soul that has lived many lives, but as one that has never yet been born. The darkness hums, but it is not cold. It is the warmth of possibility, of forgotten dreams, of truths half remembered. It beckons you not to enter, but to let go. For here, in this place, you are not asked to cross the threshold, you are asked to dissolve into it. The shadow does not take what you have. It asks you to surrender what you are not. You feel it stir within your chest, the deep, ancient desire to leave behind everything you thought you were. The attachments, the stories, the roles. Here, in the silence between your thoughts, you are nothing. And in that nothingness, you are all. And when the darkness swallows you, it does not consume. It cradles. It pulls you into a womb not of flesh, but of spirit, where time bends, where thought loses its edge. Here, you are not reborn. You are remembered. And as you drift within this dark embrace, the first key is given not in form, but in feeling. A soft awakening that rises from deep within, like a whisper lost in the wind. You pass through. Beyond, you find a new light. Not the blinding flash of the sun, but the quiet radiance of a distant star, one that has been waiting for rains to touch your soul. It is the gate of the dawn. And as you approach, you feel the rhythm of your own heart slow, aligning with the pulse of the universe. The dawn is not the birth of day, it is the birth of clarity. It is a point where all things are poised, where all things hold potential. In this light, you do not seek to understand. You seek to remember. You are not the dreamer here. You are the dream itself. Every image that rises in the dawn is an ancient memory, a forgotten song, a divine reflection of what has always been. You look not outward, but inward, and the universe reveals its shape, its spiral, its perfect symmetry, its delicate yet unyielding order. The dawn speaks to you, but not in words. It speaks through the stillness that follows the birth of every thought. Here, you are not lost. You are found. And yet, there are more gates. The third appears, not as a door, but as a river, flowing not with water, but with light, its current swift, its depth unfathomable. This is the gate of the stream, and it calls you not to walk, but to flow. The river is not here to carry you away, but to guide you inward, deeper still, into the depths of your being where the pulse of life begins. Every drop of light within this river holds a story, your story, and the story of all that has ever lived, and all that will. You step into the river, and it does not overwhelm. It does not push you forward. It invites you to become one with it, to merge with its essence. Every moment spent within this current is timeless, for here, all distinctions dissolve between past and future, between joy and sorrow, between self and other. You are the river, and the river is you. Each wave is a heartbeat, each ripple a thought. You flow not away from yourself, but into the heart of your soul. As you move through the river, its current begins to slow, gently, as if it too is leading you to the next gate, the gate of the fire, where the flame does not burn, but illuminates. The fire is ancient and wise, holding the memory of the first spark that ignited the cosmos. It is not destructive, but transformative. It does not consume. It purifies. As you approach the flame, you feel no fear. There is only recognition, for this fire is not separate from you. It is the fire that once burned within your heart, the fire of creation itself. It is the light that illuminates not the world around you, but the world within you. In this flame, you are both the fuel and the spark. Here, you are both the one who creates, and the one who is created. The flame rises, and you do not burn. You are refined. You stand in its presence, not as an individual, but as the universe itself, flickering, changing, ever becoming. The flame does not ask you to stay or go. It simply asks you to be, and in that being, you understand, there is no death here, only change. And at the center of this fire lies the final gate, the gate of the heart, where the flame transforms into the soft glow of a lotus. Here, you do not seek, you do not search, you simply are. The heart of the lotus opens to you, not as an invitation, but as an offering. Its petals are not of flower, but of truth, and in the heart of this truth lies the final secret. There is no separation. There is no other. There is only the eternal dance of becoming and unbecoming. You enter the lotus, not as a visitor, but as its essence. You are both the observer and the observed. The journey ends, not with arrival, but with understanding. The Book of Thoth has not taught you new things. It has reminded you of what you always were. Every gate, every threshold, every light, every shadow is your essence, your becoming, your return. And as the last gate fades into the vastness, you feel a soft pull. Not toward the world you knew, but toward the world you are becoming. You do not need to seek anymore. You are the journey. You are the return. And in that return, you finally remember. And now, as you step from the lotus's embrace, you feel a strange tension in the air. The world seems to stretch and contract around you, as if you are no longer just in the world, but of it. In this vast, liminal space, there are no boundaries, no walls, no roads, only a whispering call from the next gate. It beckons you not with sound, but with frequency, a deep hum beneath the skin, a vibration that ripples through your very bones. You follow it, not with your feet, but with your soul. This is the gate of the waters, not a gate of liquid, but of thought, emotion, and desire. Before you, there is no river, no tide, but an immense sea of reflection, the waters of the unconscious, where all things are born, where all things are reflected. You stand at its edge, looking into its depths, and see not your face, but your unspoken truths, your hidden fears, your dormant desires. The waters do not ask you to understand. They ask you to feel, to sink into them, not with a mind that seeks to know, but with a heart that seeks to know itself. And so, you wade in. At first, the waters are cold. They hold the chill of ancient sorrow, of forgotten grief. But as you move deeper, they warm. They become alive, stirring with the energy of the past and the future. In these waters, time does not pass, it pulses. You realize that you are not the one walking through the waters. The waters are walking through you. You surrender to their current, allowing it to carry you not toward an end, but toward a becoming. The waves do not overwhelm. They caress. They cleanse. And in their movement, you begin to see your inner landscape not as a series of events, but as a series of layers, each one falling away like the peeling of skin from a serpent. You dive deeper still, and now the water glows with an ethereal light. It is the light of the forgotten self, of the part of you that has always known who you are. You do not need to speak it. You already know. And as the waters carry you upward, there is no gate visible, no door in sight. You realize that the gate was never external. It was always within you, just waiting for you to remember. You emerged from the waters not as someone new, but as someone awakened. Before you stands the next gate, the gate of the flame. It is not a flame that burns. It is a flame that awakens. Here, there is no heat, no scorch, no agony. This is not the fire of destruction. It is the fire of illumination. You step forward into the flame, and as it touches your skin, you realize it does not burn. It reveals. The flame lifts the veil from your eyes, showing you not only who you are, but who you can become. This fire does not seek to purge. It seeks only to remind. The flame illuminates your path, but it does not lead. It shows you that you are the one who chooses the direction. The flame does not hold you to the past. It does not chain you to your mistakes. It lifts you above them, showing you that they were never your limits, only lessons. And with each breath, the fire becomes a mirror. It reflects your deepest truths, your highest potential, your truest self. And you are not afraid, for in this flame, you recognize yourself. As the flame fades, you are drawn forward to the next gate, but this one does not appear in the distance. It rises beneath you, as though the earth itself is opening to receive you. This is the gate of the roots, and it is not an entrance, but a return. The ground beneath your feet is soft, but it holds a profound weight, an ancient weight. You stand upon the soil that has witnessed every step, every breath, every moment of creation. Here, the roots of the trees are not separate from your own. They are you. The roots of the world stretch into your being, and you feel the pulse of the earth in your bones. It is not the pulse of time. It is a pulse of memory. The memories of all who have walked before you, of every tree, every river, every stone. You are not the first to walk this path, nor will you be the last. You are a part of the great cycle of life, a moment in the eternal unfolding of the world. As you sink deeper into the earth, the roots begin to intertwine with your own. They remind you that you are not merely a traveler. You are part of this soil, part of the earth's breath. And as you breathe, you realize that this gate is not a departure. It is a return to the beginning of all things. You rise from the roots and feel the earth rise with you. It is not beneath you. It is within you. The gate shifts, dissolves, and opens onto the next world, the gate of the sky. Here, there is no earth, no soil. There are no roots. There is only light, not blinding, but soft, like the first rays of the dawn. It is a light that does not seek to illuminate, but to reveal. A light that shows you the vastness of the sky, of the stars, of the infinite. And as you walk beneath this light, you are free. Free from the need to know. Free from the need to understand. You are free to be. And you step through the gate, not as a traveler, but as the sky itself, vast, open, limitless. You have not arrived at the end, for there is no end. You have entered the eternal unfolding, the continuous cycle of becoming, of shedding, of rising and falling. The gates have no finality. They are simply steps in the journey of remembering. The last gate is not a gate at all. It is the opening of your own heart, and the recognition that every gate you have crossed was but a reflection of the journey back to yourself. Every flame, every wave, every root and star, was always you calling, guiding, remembering. And now, you are whole. Certainly. Let us continue the journey into the depths of the soul's return, where each gate becomes not merely a passage, but an initiation into a deeper understanding of one's divine essence. In this next phase, we explore gates that are not of the physical world, but rather portals of the spirit, where reality becomes fluid, and the boundaries between self and the universe dissolve entirely. The winds shift, and with them, The air around you hums a familiar vibration, one that reverberates deep within your chest, as if the heartbeat of the cosmos itself is calling you forward. You are no longer moving through space as you once did. The world has softened around you. The edges of things blur, and the path ahead of you no longer stretches toward an end. Instead, it loops back upon itself, spiraling inward. Here, there are no more steps to take, only the unfolding of the soul, the realization that you are already where you need to be. The next gate does not appear before you, nor does it rise in the distance. It emerges from within, not a gate made of wood or stone, but a gate made of light and shadow, of dreams and memories. This is the gate of the soul's reflection. It is not a door to be opened, but a mirror to be gazed into. As you approach it, the reflection staring back at you is not your body, but your essence, not shaped by time, but by eternity. The mirror does not lie. It does not distort. It simply shows you. It reflects not your past or your future, but your true nature, unclouded by experience, unmarked by identity. Here, you see yourself as a river, flowing endlessly through time, undisturbed by the moments that pass. You see yourself as the flame that burns eternally, unconsumed. You see yourself as the moon, whose light is not her own, but the reflection of the sun. In this reflection, there is no judgment, no separation. There is only acceptance. The gate is not a place to go, but the space to become. The moment you look into the mirror, you understand, you have been the one creating the journey all along. The soul, in its essence, is not bound by form. It is free, limitless, and eternal. You step away from the mirror, but it does not leave you. It remains within you, guiding you through the next stage of the journey. Ahead, you sense the presence of another gate. This time, it is not a passage, but an opening in the sky, where the heavens themselves seem to unfold, revealing a new expansive field of stars. This is the gate of the infinite sky. It is not a gate of entry. It is a gate of expansion, a space where the very concept of limits dissolves. The stars are not far away. They are within you. Each point of light is a spark of consciousness, a fragment of your being scattered across the vastness of the cosmos. Here, you are not bound by form, by flesh, by identity. You are all things: the stars, the planets, the galaxies. You are both the observer and the observed, both the one who seeks and the one who is sought. In this space, you are not separate. You are the entire sky, the infinite expanse of possibility, and you see that all things are connected, woven together like threads of a divine tapestry. You are no longer an individual self. You are the universe unfolding, and within this boundless space, you can feel the pulse of life moving through you, as though the stars themselves are whispering your name. As you gaze into the infinite sky, you realize that this is not a place of escape. It is a place of remembrance, the remembrance of your divine origin, of the space before form, before the first breath, before thought took shape. In this moment, the question arises, who are you beyond this journey? And just as you think you might lose yourself in this vastness, the next gate appears, this time not above, but beneath you, beneath your feet. The earth below you is soft, fertile, alive. This is the gate of the deep earth, and it calls you not to ascend, but to descend. In this descent, you are drawn downward, into the depths of your being, to the places where memories rest, where fears lie dormant, where dreams are conceived. The earth here is not dark, but filled with the soft glow of ancient knowledge. The roots beneath you stretch deep, reaching into the underworld, the realm where all things are born and reborn. You feel the connection to the earth, not just beneath your feet, but within your heart. Here, you are not merely a traveler passing through. You are a child of the earth, a manifestation of her breath, her pulse. The gates you have passed through were never separate from the earth, from the stars, from the flame, from the sky. They are all one, woven together in an eternal dance of becoming. And as you descend, you are drawn closer to the heart of the earth, where you can hear its whisper. It is a sound, not of words, but of vibration. The earth speaks not in language, but in frequency, in rhythm. And as you listen, you understand that you are not simply a visitor to this world. You are a child of the earth, born of her soil, shaped by her winds, kissed by her sun. You feel a deep peace here. This is a place where all things begin, where all things return. The earth is not an external force. It is an internal mirror, reflecting the soul's journey. You realize that you have always been here, always been part of this living, breathing web of creation. As you stand in the depths of the earth, you understand, this is where the journey began. It began not with a gate, but with the whisper of the soul, the whisper of creation itself. And with that whisper, the final gate opens, not as an entrance, but as a return. The journey is not over. The journey never ends. It is the eternal unfolding, the never-ending cycle of becoming. You have passed through many gates, seen many worlds, heard many voices. But now, you understand, you were never separate from them. You were always part of this cosmic dance, this eternal spiral of life. And with this understanding, you step through the final gate not as a seeker, but as the one who has always known. Thank you for joining us on this enlightening journey through the world of esoteric philosophy. We hope this video has sparked something within you, perhaps a deeper curiosity, or a quiet understanding. The quest for knowledge is endless, and we are honored to walk this path with you. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell so you never miss an exploration into the hidden realms of knowledge. Join our growing community of seekers, and together, let's uncover the mysteries of the universe one principle at a time. Until next time, stay curious, stay awakened, and remember, the universe is not outside of you, it is within you.